Hey friendos, welcome back! Hey Eben! I'm hoping we can finish Roottrees. Let us dream. We have 8 people left. Oh, hey, Sitho, sorry. I see you, Sitho. Listen, Elias M is cute. I just don't understand why this has so many on it. I swear we've looked up everybody. Okay, is Brian Jones gonna be in the fucking Butler County goddamn and I never looked him up? There are many advertisements over the years, as well as a small article from 1995 about Jones Graphic and Print. The article is a piece about Brian Jones taking over his father's primary company after 20 years. Brian seems to not have let it go to waste, Brian seems to not have let it go to waste as a marketing opportunity during an interview portion. I've been in and out of that shop my whole life. My father taught me everything there is to know when it comes to getting the job done right and getting it done quick. We've been a printing staple of Butler County for years, and even the Butler County Times uses us for their coupon pages a few times a year. Thanks, by the way. Haha. But still, whether you're a new client or one of our regulars, nothing will change. Come on down for the best prices on bulk printing anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania. Or search us online. I designed the website myself. Oh boy. How did I not... Oh right, that's the website. Jones Graphic and Print is a company that, according to its website, has existed in Butler County for some time. The website seems fancy. It even has frames. The website lists the addresses, hours, and a few examples of clients and the type of work that was done for each. Stephanie Jones Campaign, mailers. Root Tree Candy Company, various banners, posters. Butler County Holiday Light post banners. Miracle Network tour flyers. Root Tree Motors. Coupon flyers. Butler County School District, various banners, posters. Butler Summer Theater, posters and set contributions for Children of Eden. At the bottom it also says, we also do web design. Come in to get a quote today. You find a hit for Root Tree Motors on the Jones Graphic and Print website, which you've already seen. You don't find any trace of them on the internet. As a local business, they may be featured in other places. There's an ad for Roottrees Motors in the paper. It seems Roottrees Motors used to be called Wilkins Motors. An ad for Roottrees Motors has run in every week's Butler County Times for many years, but recently has changed to include a picture. 3 different unique versions of the ad have been added to your evidence. Okay. The rights to use Pennsylvania? Probably not. Wilkins Motors is now Roottrees Motors. We may have a new name, but we promise we're still the same family business. All that's different is we've joined a sweeter family. Funny noises, need new oil? Come on down, we'll fix her up. I don't know how far back we joined. Oh, when is this from? 74 to 77. Okay, so this actually must be Wilkins Catherine. A Roottrees Motors ad that ran from 77 to 95. The Roottrees Motors are a local family mechanic. Your local family mechanic serving the entire Pittsburgh area. That's a Roottrees. There she is. It says that Roottrees Motors has been around for 50 years as a family business, and also that Tessa Roottrees, their newest fixer, learned all there is to know about cars from her Roottrees Motors parents. Okay. I'm confident about her. I'm confident about him. I'm confident about him. The Butler Summer Theater performs plays and musicals during the summer. Makes sense. As it's not summer currently, their website has a thank you message. Thank you for making our 1998 season such a success. Stay tuned for announcements about the performances in 1999. The website lists the credits of a musical, which seems to be the final show they performed last season. There's a cast list, but none of the names seem relevant. Below the cast, it lists the crew, and 2 things stand out. Posters and additional set design elements by Jones Graphic and Print, and choreography by November Studios. Oh, thank God. A local dance school. They had advertised lessons for ballet and jazz classes. There's hardly any other information available, so she's a dancer. She's the dancer. Yeah! I knew she wasn't K to 12, I just didn't know what she fucking did. Didn't know what she was. Achievement. Awesome. Okay. Now what? Ah, okay, we're gone here. Great, thank God. Okay, there's no more intuition anywhere. Except here. No, no, we're not doing this. I have absolutely no fucking clue. I might have to use a hint. I'd have to rubber my ducky. A conspiracy site, okay. You find a few conspiracy websites that claim the Mayan ruby skull is a symbol of death. The alleged proof is a blurry photo of a reddish shape that's supposedly a cave painting from South America. According to legend, discovered beneath the painting were bones from hundreds of different people and animals. One site also mentions that the photographer who took the picture died when their boat capsized after crashing into a skull-shaped rock. Amongst the spinning skull gifts, you find no sources or verifiable details to back up any photos or claims. To you, the blurry photo looks more like an egg than a skull. Nothing relevant. Wait. Begin to read this site and come to the conclusion that the words "no relevant results" isn't a strong enough description for what you're seeing here. It's a massive column of technical terms that aren't real and confusing rants you can't find any meaning in. Regardless, it won't help you with your search. Oh, there we go. You find a simple page called The Art of Rafferty, copyright 1997, on Prodigy that lists the author's email address as chrisraff75@prodigy.us. Below a bunch of gifts that say under construction, there are a few art pieces. The first is a painting captioned, "Me and my fiance, Lulu." A painting I did for my first year of college that I plan to give her once we get married in May. Go Tartans! Oh my god, my high school, we were the Tartans. There's an odd collage called Cousins, which seems to be made up of 3 scrambled images. The accompanying artist statement says, "We had to create a piece of art about our family. I asked as many of my extended family of cousins for their pictures as I could, even some I've never met. Only a few of them got back to me, and my teacher said I wasn't allowed to use pictures of Raina, Riley, or Rose, so I had to get creative and use only my third cousins. This includes Davy, he swims for Yukon, and Bethany's yearbook picture. She's Davy's younger sister. And Stephanie, who's an only child." Really? This is Chris Rafferty's cousin's art project and is said to include pictures of Davy, he swims for Yukon, Bethany's yearbook picture, Davy's younger sister, and Stephanie, who's an only child. Perhaps you can extract them using an application on your PC? Can I? Pixpop? What? Chris's artwork has been added to your evidence, but the cousin's photo will need to be unscrambled before you can use them. You've downloaded a new application, Pixpop, to edit the photos. Pixpop website looks surprisingly unprofessional. Across the top, there's a large banner that said, "This website was authored in Cashew Pad." Still, there's no denying that the software works well, especially considering it's free. There are countless testimonials and examples of professionally made artwork to inspire potential users. Okay. Okay. Wow, my brain did not want to figure out what was going on here. Oh, okay. All right. We've got a different game now. All right. Wish they had more of this. Ah. Oh, no. Oh, I'm gonna have a hard time with this one. Oh, God. Oh, fuck me. Oh, fuck you. Please stop. Dino, please. Ugh. I didn't like that one. Nice.
To my genealogy genie. If you're reading this, it means you've locked in 49 blood relatives. Congratulations! I knew you could do it. There are 2 more entries on the family tree I'd like you to consider. These last 2 are optional. You can summon me whenever you wish. However, this will end your search and reveal the truth. So make sure you're ready.
Is this not... Or is this Mr. Morden? Not Morden. What was his name? Christensen. I spelled it wrong. Christensen Steel was a steel company in Butler County. Business Watch mentioned them a few times, mostly around the time of World War II. It appears they went all in on the war effort and were even commended by the Vice President of the United States, who visited the factory in person. An article from about 4 years after the war ended said that the expansions and modifications they made to the factory were no longer sustainable during peacetime and the company was being sold. Okay, Christensen Steel and Patricia Christensen are both mentioned in a book review for Steamy Correspondence by Tina Angelina. '97 softcover nonfiction. This is a book of historical letters with an erotic twist. Each letter is accompanied by context from the book's author. A letter from the book has been added to your pages. In 1934, someone who goes by Patch wrote a letter full of innuendo to an unknown gentleman who it is clear she had a romantic history with. Patch is thought by the book's author to have been Patricia Christensen, daughter of the owner of Christensen Steel. Her nickname was Pat, and CH were the first two letters of her. Thank you. Thank you. I get it. Patricia, who would have been in her mid-20s when the letter was written, was married to an older man of no notable status. The letter was most definitely not to him. There are also a few passages, after the steamy bits, that mention a daughter, leading Tina Angelina to theorize that this letter was written to the father of a child she hid from society in some way. The letter ends on a mention of a twisted twin that seems to evoke imagery from classic literature. If not for her story, yours and mine would be the most tragic tale ever told. How awful it is that such beauty was ripped from its rightful fate, and worse, sent to live in possession of your brother's twisted twin. Of your brother's twisted twin. Well, it can't be a root tree, that would be weird. Just say Edward Clancy. Left an outcast, forced to a life of labor under a wicked relative. It's like something from the start of a children's fable. She deserved not the life she has been sentenced to. I can't stand to be apart from you both. Someday I shall return to you, and I pray that he has not corrupted her to know his sins. I swear that on that joyous day, with all of the strength I can muster, I will fight for our child's freedom. Let us pray her fable has a happy ending. Tina has no theory for what the more cryptic parts of that mean. Okay, maybe it's not her. Maybe it is. Corrupted her to know his sins. Mr. Miller. Yeah, I feel like I should have a first name, but I guess I don't have a first name or a last name for her, so maybe we're fine with Mr. Miller? Let's do it! I got no ideas. What? Well, I lose.
So, you thought EC was Edward Clancy Roottree? And had a guess for his partner?
I didn't think he was Edward Clancy Roottree. I thought he was just Edward Clancy.
Partial credit. I'm Sam Madsen, though you know me as Samantha Roottree. Yep, I got old. The only picture you have of me is from 40 years ago. My book tells the truth about Elias, of 5 pieces, and my parents. Not my biological parents, Elias Jr. and Patsy. My fathers. Edward Clancy Roottree and John Miller.
I was right, fuck you!
By now, you've either read Lauren's diaries, or you're just an incredible guesser.
Both. Stop headbutting my elbow when I'm trying to pour tea. I love you. You've got a booger.
Lauren was right. I hated the 5 pieces. She just didn't know my full reasoning. My father, Edward Clancy, was a great man. But his identical twin Clancy and his father, Elias, were not. At age 16, my father was caught kissing a farmhand. Back then, they wouldn't even acknowledge gay people existed. Having one in the family was unthinkable. The same year, I was born. A bastard granddaughter. 2 stains on Elias's perfect family. He decided to fix both.
That's why it's cinnamon extract. Instead of cinnamon and something else. It would have been 6 pieces, but it was 5.
They tried to erase Edward Clancy. They even removed his 5 pieces flavor. His name was deemed a dirty word. He became EC.
Where did this one come from? Must not have looked at that one hard enough, or maybe I didn't find it.
We were sent to the farm, and the 5 Pieces did their best to keep the next generation away, to isolate me from family. But Elias couldn't erase us from existence. Laura never realized I was the little girl from her diary. Who could blame me for being so confused that day? Her father was an exact copy of mine, except without the beard. And while the 5 Pieces celebrated a new factory, farmhands did the real work. It's a fluke there's a picture of my father at all, but there he is in the background, the 6th 5-piece. Patsy returned, and things got complicated for Elias. She fought for my freedom, from a life she deemed unworthy. Elias relented, so long as I never learned the truth or receive inheritance. They knew I'd help my father. At Elias's will reading, I learned part of the truth. The rest I learned at home. I began to hate the 5 Pieces. My father made me stay silent. He was worried history would repeat, and that his grandchildren would become outcasts. His fears weren't unfounded. As you know, my son Ernie died a few years ago. He had trained to take over as president. But due to family politics, or perhaps hubris, it went to Guy, a real root tree. He nearly ruined the company. When Ernie took over, he saved the operation. Over 13 years, he made the family billions. Ernie earned about $36. They got by on Debbie's salary, but when he fell ill, he couldn't pay his medical bills. His death was my tipping point. Originally, my book was meant to expose Elias's hypocrisy, until I started to look into the other dirty laundry. Ron tried to have Robbie removed from the trust, but couldn't. Robbie was a blood relative, even out of wedlock. That sounded familiar. The Clancid Trust that Elias established was designed to secure his family's future. His entire family's future. He couldn't write exceptions in without the whole thing falling apart. My book can definitively prove that Elias was not the paragon of virtue he's heralded as. And that my daughter and granddaughters are just as much family, at least in the eyes of the Trust, as anyone else. The Clancid Trust will secure their future. They can decide what to do with their shares. But I'm old, and I'm not in it for the money. The truth has been eating away at me for years. But now, I can set the record straight. Thanks to you. As someone who enjoys searching for the truth, you might understand the power it has. Whitewashing the past to protect the status quo can lead to repercussions in the present and future. I appreciate what you've done for me. You uncovered enough to make a strong case. If and when the truth is fully accepted, my share of the Clancid Trust is yours. Looking at the family tree on your wall, now with my father's, everything finally feels complete. Unless a whole lot more root trees somehow appear from thin air, this is the last time I'll come knocking. Thanks again, and so long.
We're rolling, rolling, rolling on down to the sea.
Aw, thanks to your hard work, Sam Madson's book was published. It received mixed reviews. Life went on and a new president took over the company. The Root Tree family faded from the news cycle. And then everything changed. Yeah. There's another- what? Another mystery to solve. Root Tree Mania is unlocked as a- oh no. Pardon? What's root tree mania? Zeno. Hi. I love you. Need to do new game? Oh boy. Ah. Oh goodness.
Hi, I'm Clark.
Fuck you.
Probably not who you expected to be knocking, but life's funny sometimes. You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down. A lot has happened in the last year. Far too much of it public. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes too. I never wanted to be president. I'm not great with stress. With my mother's deteriorating I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork. Now that it's public knowledge the Clancy Trust covers any root tree despite their history with us, a lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
Mm-hmm.
You may have seen that man on the cover of News Time. That was a disaster for us. And then Miracle went and made it all about himself. The long and short of it is a lot of potential cousins just showed up. Sam's helping some of them, but she's not really going about it the right way. And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family. I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side. In the meantime, if you're willing, I can share our files with you. Pass them along to Sam if she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally. Feel free to do your own research. I've been told you enjoy things like this. To each their own.
Oh lord. Alright, I need a break before I try this. I'll be right back, hang on. Okay. Oh boy. Possible infidelity? Right. Okay. 5 Ps. Anonymom. Today is August 3rd, 1999. It has been 8 months since you helped Sam Madsen with the research necessary for her book. Sam was true to her word and paid you an incredibly large sum of money. She never mentioned you by name, however, so you've managed to keep a low profile. The Roottrees, on the other hand, have not. Below is a summary of notable events since the book's release, though you can refresh your memory in full detail by searching online. 6 pieces. Sam Madsen's book about Elias Roottree was released in February. It was a bestseller for a few months. At the time, Carl had not yet been replaced. Roottree Rift. In March, the Roottree company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases and a clear lack of leadership. Clark Rafferty LaRue. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Roottree and welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Plants Trust. That included any other new questions of lineage. 5 Ps. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Roottrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these, by a wide margin, was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5Ps as a publicity move at the same time. 5Ps is the only notable person on the updated tree. Roottree Mania. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Roottree publicly and vehemently denied that 5Ps was a Roottree. The Roottree's legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5Ps to drop his claim, and in a moment that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm, the test proved he was a Roottree. Suddenly, the world was obsessed with Roottrees. Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottree. In July, an anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a Roottree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe Roottree. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret Roottree, and therefore entitled to a share of the clan's trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the Roottree Mania saga. As more and more of Anonymom's stories came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test, orchestrated by lawyers on both sides, proved that her daughter was not a Roottree. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, and countless accusations for the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or an attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of Roottree Mania seems to disappear overnight. Now, a month later, it feels like a distant memory. Previously on The Roottrees Are Dead. This is a new investigation with a new focus after many months of newfound interest in the Roottrees. It is recommended you try and catch up with some of what happened last time. Some web searches may yield new or different results, and some books and magazines from your previous investigation may be relevant to your new one. It's also a much more widespread search. The list of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Not all of them will be used. Below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats from your initial dive into the Roottree family. All evidence from before is still available, and for your convenience, any searches that do not lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. To both of you, the company I hired to help us with the Clansed Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history, as well as people they may have had contact with. That said, the family is not particularly happy with this and are doing their best to slow things down. Many of them are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches, so please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask that you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. We're ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you believe could realistically be part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new Roottree. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the new sections of the tree, and we'll take the time to handle verifying that the timeline checks out. But keep in mind why we're here. If someone didn't have a child or has already been disqualified by our lawyers, like in the case of the girl with the negative DNA test, there won't be a place for them on the tree. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities, we're only looking for the ones that led to potential new Roottrees. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. These areas are reserved for members of the original family tree you filled in 8 months ago. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start sorting out the infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power. I'd love to say that it's only because it would have been a lot harder for the women to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. I'll be blunt, I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wish I could claim that I was a perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learned how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit. Consequences be damned. I can't change the past or unhurt those who I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself, and to you. Refuse to make any more mistakes, and do my best to sort out the various messes we've left behind. So please, fill in the tree, and together we can figure out how to make amends. Good luck, and thank you both. Sorry, Ron. Yeah, I think maybe the thingy, the alert didn't go or something, because we are definitely very quiet tonight. Oh no, goodbye, Ron. The root trees are still dead. Some of them are not. Some of them are alive. Alright, 75 to 82. If this is Jim, I'm gonna kill myself. 98, huh? I am 100% on board that this is Miracle Third. I know nothing else. This has got to be... I swear. I have decided. Oh, wait. He didn't... Just kidding. $19.21. I'm gonna assume that one's Elias Rootree. Zombie Rootrees. Elias and Gwyneth Rootree were never really celebrities, but the general public's perception of them as classic faces associated with the Rootree Candy Company had always been in somewhat high regards. This was Elias' intention as a family man with his family brand. Since Six Pieces, the candy company has placed much less of an emphasis on Elias as a historical brand-connected figure, but there have also been those who've argued that it was his right to decide how to split his inheritance and that he did nothing wrong. This has led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. The first Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. However, it has since seen an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decided to visit to show support for Elias and Gwyneth's traditional values and financial rights. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists when some particularly inflammatory organizations made their pilgrimages. Amongst all this conflict, the farm has since shut down, seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later, but has no date listed. The quotes from Bess Williams' book appear to have been taken down. Okay, that's fine. Bess Williams was an author born in the late 1800s. She lived just outside of Miami and died tragically young in a major hurricane that struck the area in 1926. Bess has a minor history with the Roottrees. Her only notable book, Family Man, is widely considered blatant propaganda about Elias. It has been all but forgotten until recently when it was re-released during the height of Rootree mania. There's a site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions Bess Williams. The Boca Doral library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed by the hurricane. When they rebuilt, they named the nonfiction section after her. The library was expanded again in 1950 and then closed in 1963 when multiple larger libraries opened in the surrounding area that made it redundant. The Boca Doral Library no longer exists. You find multiple libraries in the area. According to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where it once sat is now the Miami Print Museum. Searching for the Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It states their hours and a list of exhibits. The building is very small, admission is free, and they only have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits is their courtyard, which includes a fountain as well as a statue of an unknown author. The picture has been added to your evidence. Another is a printing press that was used by the Miami Sunday, a now defunct weekly newspaper. The last is an original print of Cuba by Cubans and an art book. The Miami Mercury Sunday was a newspaper that only lasted a year, from 49 to 50. You find a small website about quirky printing history facts that mentions that the Miami Mercury Sunday was the outcome of merging two smaller failing newspapers. This resulted in one larger failing newspaper, which was only notable to the author because by combining the names the way they did, it was tied for the longest title of an American newspaper at the time, with a newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. Great. This is a statue in front of the Miami Print Museum, formerly the Boca Doral Library north of Miami. It sits in the courtyard, and according to their site, it is said to be of an unknown author. All right, so the dictionary defines propaganda as information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. But if they were to replace that definition with a picture, it would be a picture of this book. The book tells you nothing new about Elias, and from what you know of his true feelings towards some of his extended family, you're not sure it tells you anything true about Elias either. The reissue of this book was so lazy that they reused the famous photo of Elias from Business Watch, whose copyright had expired. The best thing it has going for it is that it's only 85 pages long. All right, so (1908). I think this is gotta be Elias. And then let's look up, I wish we could mark. Wow, really? Okay. No. Five Ps, aka Felix Fellows, is a rapper who has found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost root tree and entitled to part of their fortune. His alias, 5 Ps, is a play on 5 pieces, an article you find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music. Gives his most recent album, one star out of 7 for whatever reason, with the headline of more poser than my action figure collection. The review mentions his real name is David, and he used to go by Dirty Davy. And the author rues the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. Apparently, only one of the songs on the album is new, and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs, and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kickstarted when he appeared a few months ago on the cover of News Time, holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. At first, the Roottree company denied it vehemently. Miracle Roottree even appeared on the same magazine a week later, but since then they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him to the family. Their press release at the time stated they had new evidence that confirmed his story. Newstime is a major news periodical that releases a new issue every week. The rapper 5Ps famously appeared on the cover, claiming to be a Roottree. Then 1 week later, Miracle Roottree did the same, denying that he was. Because of this high-profile back-to-back discourse right before the start of Roottree Mania, they appeared to be the de facto publication to get news about the ongoing Roottree saga. They reported record subscriber numbers during this time, which lasted until the end of Roottree Mania, when the world generally stopped paying much attention, and they went back to reporting on more traditional news. $75 to $82, like... I guess that's gotta be Guy, but it feels like that's a lot. Five Ps, aka Felix Fellows, appeared on the cover of Newstime holding a photo of his mother and Guy Hudson. The article concerns his insistence that his father was Guy Hudson. The story was dramatic and sensational and initially dismissed as fake until a DNA test proved that he was related to Guy Hudson. Five Ps says that his mother was Joanna, was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired. And then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks before she quit, the first few weeks that he was president. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until about 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. The next morning they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She had stolen all of the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. As Felix went through her belongings, the only thing he had to remember her were a hairbrush she always used, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. But then he found it, a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away, with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of Newstime. He says it was the only one where they were dressed, the only one not from the affair itself. The picture is shown in full inside the magazine and was added to your evidence. The magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. Felix Fellows was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but has never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even by selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He's only recently started going as 5Ps to harness the power of his lineage. The writer did some research into the truth of these claims and was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Roottree company as a secretary sometime in the early to mid-70s. It also confirms that she died of a drug overdose and that Felix went into foster care soon after. They were unable to track down his father. They also reached out to the Roottree company, but at the moment the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Roottree has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual, and nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity, as opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Well, that's Miracle. Miracle Roottree appeared on the cover of News Times shortly after 5Ps did. He vehemently denied that 5Ps was a root tree. This article was from before the DNA test that proved it. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5Ps' accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes, as well as the character of those he feels are attacking his family. He starts with 6Ps' content. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. He points out Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Roottree, and that Sam did the same before her. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was her only son who chose to take on a job with no salary. Only her son who. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sinning or be disowned. Miracle says it was EC's own choice to keep sinning, and that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering that he and John continued to live together. Miracle then pivots to a fallout from 6Ps. He recounts a deluge of claims to the clan's trust that the family has been subjected to. He doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves to arguments. They've had to hire an outside legal team to help, but so far every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5Ps who appeared on News Time before him. He calls him a grifter and a delinquent and says he's using their name and products to sell filth to the masses. Of all the accusations, he says this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. He cites 5Ps' lyrics as violent, sexist, and ungodly, and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those who wish to hear the true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. The Miracle's Roottree are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Roottree. While he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. The article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Roottrees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he is the oldest living Roottree, despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. It was unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. Okay. Oh, was it David or was it Daniel? Crap. Okay, so it is David. Hey, Tail Silvermoon, thank you so much! I definitely had fun with the first part, so nice. Fuck yeah. Really? That wasn't her. Interesting.
Has Clark reached out to you? Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life. 3 different people contacted me, claiming that somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news. I felt terrible. So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me. I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there. But the third person who contacted me also had a credible case. Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But you're making progress based on the leads he gave you. It's really hard for me to get a read on him. I'll let you handle it. I've sent you the case I've been working on, and some company records I managed to track down. The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful. Good luck.
It said most, well, it always said most recent job. Yeah. Well, what do I put, dead? She was a cashier at the Blockbuster. Do you think I should put secretary? All right, hold on. I want to look. I want to wiggle this one a little more. Root of All Evil is 5P's debut album. According to various sources, the album is mostly material that 5P's recorded for his mixtapes before he became notable, but re-recorded with lyrical differences and professional production. All Your Problems was the first and only single released. After dropping the single, 5P's announced he'd retained the infamous celebrity lawyer Stevie Whitlock to sue his family. To date, it doesn't seem like he's followed through. At first, the single didn't make much of a splash, but Whitlock, known for publicity stunts, paid thousands of teenagers a few dollars an hour to call and request the video on MTV, which increased its profile. MTV eventually caught on and banned the video altogether, which in turn received national news coverage and made the song even more popular. Stevie Whitlock is a lawyer with a history of publicity stunts and grandstanding. Still, he's managed to rack up quite a few legal victories for C-list celebrities and athletes. She became famous in the mid-1980s after successfully suing a multinational sandwich company whose 12-inch subs were actually an average of 11.5 inches long. Stevie argued that since the company sold 1 billion sandwiches per year, that was enough missing sandwich to make a sub long enough to span from New York to Los Angeles. The jury awarded her a paltry $5,000, but the news coverage of her crusade turned out to be priceless. Unfortunately, none of this seems to be related to the Roottrees. The track is the only new song on the album. The subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, those that can afford not to be greedy. In the song, 5 Ps triumphantly talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it most. You find a copy of the song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. I hope we get a virus.
Attention, Roottrees. This is 5 Ps coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Root of all your
Man,
problems.
y'all are hypocrites, sitting back in your massive estates, built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it, based on your family's creations.
But looky here, sonny, don't you come for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick.
And her 2 dads. My pappy's cleansing trust should keep you away.
This is terrible.
Catching a
This could be good.
who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're sinners, cause we didn't earn it. When all of your worth it came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert creed from he without blame. How about instead, I turn my other cheeks and spread them.
Okay, Eminem.
Kiss, you'll know just where to aim.
You say money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle, while real
Treacle.
folks burning spoons with a needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragedy.
Okay, that's a relatively good connection.
Horses are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. I wanted my share.
That's actually extortion with your candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from Portland, but I play that game. I came up on the streets. The only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk. Your hypocrisy, monopoly is toppling. When I knock, have G's.
Top off my pockets, please.
Cause the same God that got to steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? For you to live in poverty. And if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally. Class action, courtrooms, decorum. I'm way past your fancy ass doorman.
You say money is the root.
Okay, great. We can stop. It is no hot pepper tuna, you're right. Oh boy. This photo was given to you by Sam Madsen. A woman named Regina Clementine came to her and claimed that her husband has confessed he thinks he's a Roottree. The details of this case can be found in your evidence. Stuart is the older boy wearing a vest. The woman in the photo is Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle Roottree. I'll believe it. Immediately. Not Miracle Rootree! Oh my god! Stewart. Oh, that wouldn't be right. You were given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that work directly for Roottree or in their corporate office. The many laborers on their farm and in their factories are not listed. You're not sure how helpful it'll be, except for cross-referencing Guy's secretaries and visits overseas. Spider-searching people just because they are listed in these books will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of your time. Edward Roottree, Lloyd Carpenter, Carl Monroe, Elizabeth Cravensworth. Joanna Robertson. Yep, that makes sense. Oh, you know what? This is probably Stephanie, actually. And she was pregnant. In 1977, it was announced that Zach would be retiring and Guy would be taking over at the start of 78. They held a retirement party in November before spending the final month working on the transition. During 76 and 77, the following changes took place. Guy Hudson has replaced Ernest Madsen Jr. as special management. Patrick Decker was hired. Eli C. Roottree is no longer employed by Roottree. Ernest Madsen Jr. is now listed under product management. 76, Christine Farrow was hired. 76, Joanna Robertson is no longer listed among the secretaries, but a Joanna Fellows has been added to the list. Joanna Fellows and Beth Knox are no longer employed by Roottree. Christine Farrow is no longer listed amongst the secretaries, but a Christine Garland has been hired. John Miller is no longer employed by Roottree. Gwyneth Madsen was hired. $20,000 for a retirement party in 1977? Fucking hell. Also $50K in 76? Mm-mm. Guy Hudson died in May of 1982, so the first few months after that year continued along the same pattern as they had been. Things quickly changed when Ernie took over. Most of the extraneous expenses ended, and all of the secretaries, most handpicked by Guy Hudson, were let go. Sam Madsen left Roottree in 1984, so this is the last set of books you have access to. That'll be useful to us later. From 6 Pieces at Prodigy.us to Genealogy Genie at Prodigy.us, this is all the information I have about Regina Clementine, née Salazar, from New Orleans, Louisiana, and her husband Stuart Clementine. Gina Clementine. Oh, sorry. I'm getting confused. Regina Clementine née Salazar from New Orleans, Louisiana, and her husband Stuart Clementine. She wrote me about a month ago. Apparently the Roottree lawyers went after her since then. By the time I received her letters and called her, she told me she couldn't cooperate anymore. Her husband, who's a police officer and never knew his father, told her that he thought he might be a Roottree, but he's estranged from his family and didn't want to pursue it because he had no proof. She wrote to me behind his back. Normally I wouldn't be so sure, but she had some pretty credible facts. Okay, so this would be Mary Beth. Oh my god, stop. Regina Salazar. Her husband, who's a police officer, never knew his father, told her he thought he might be a Roottree, but he's estranged from his family and didn't want to pursue it because he had no proof. She wrote to me behind his back. Some of it I've been able to confirm. Stuart's mother was named Mary Beth Clementine. She's a pretty well known in the 30s to 50s, a singer who went to tour in a lot of churches. You can look her up online, and she was a pretty big proponent of adoption. I know for a fact that she came to Butler County a few times. I remember her from when I was younger, and Regina said that Stuart told her that they always seem to spend a lot of time at the Miracle Church. She sent me a photo to prove that she's who she says she is. I've attached this to the email. Mary Beth Clementine. Mary Beth Clementine was a singer most popular in the years between 42 and 59. She traveled around the country performing at churches. Her repertoire was a mix of religious and popular songs, and although she recorded a few records, they seem lost to time. The only one you find mentioned was a cover of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, released under the label New Edison. One thing Mary Beth was known for was her adoptions. She's listed on many sites that mention adoption and the history of adoption. She adopted 2 children in the late 1940s, Stuart and Mark. She also spoke as an advocate for the benefits of adoption in front of the United States Congress in 1949, who were convening to debate and discuss the then recent first adoption of an African American child to a white family in the United States. She was specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stuart. Her other son was adopted later, and according to a single line on one adoption site, under, quote, unusual circumstances. In '59, it surfaced that Mary Beth had been divorced twice, both times to her manager, Sterling. This ended her career with the religious audience she'd been catering to, and while she performed occasionally since then, she mostly faded into obscurity. Mary Beth passed away in 1994 at the age of 76 of a stroke. New Edison was a small record label based in Los Angeles that existed for a few years in the 40s. It raced to release cover records of songs that were gaining in popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Its biggest claim to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison in Edison Records versus Edsel. You can also find a few references to New Edison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of The Old Rugged Cross and says that her first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Edison Records after its owner, Sterling Edison, got in a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. There are no cited sources or evidence, and the site's content seems user-submitted. There's an email address at the bottom in the phrase, "Send me your stories about old Hollywood and I'll add them to the page." Edison Records was one of the first record labels named after Thomas Edison. The history of the company seems very unimportant, except for a potentially a lawsuit they filed in '49, Edison Records v. Edsel. A website about lawsuits mentions this as a fun case because the name of the lawsuit was actually the biggest problem for the person being sued. A record producer who called himself Edison was immediately outed as not actually being named Edison. Edsel was a German last name, and at the time of the founding of the company, the US was at war with Germany. The company's founder immediately settled to try to get the case to go away, but the damage was done. Goodness gracious. Crocodile Clementine is listed on a website titled The Infamy List. It's a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply he hails from Florida, a lot of others on the list come from there, or Australia, Mark is listed as being from Los Angeles. He has a pretty big entry. It's seemingly a real piece of work. There's a very small note about him being the basket baby of 1950, but most everything else comes from his adulthood. He lost his job in 1975 as a pilot for a regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airline's plane. He was drunk. He was charged with trespassing and assault. In 1982, he was arrested for transporting smuggled animals over the Canadian and Mexican borders for an illegal reptile supplier in Los Angeles. He was apparently quite successful for the first 4 years, but was caught when he had to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten on the foot by a crocodile, hence the nickname. Apparently, the Portland Telegraph is credited as having given him his nickname. His mugshot from this instance has been added to your photos. Great. Portland Telegraph is your run-of-the-mill newspaper based out of Portland, Oregon. They have a website with a lot of dry statistics about how many subscribers they have, how many issues they have been in, and words. Okay, great. His mugshot from this instance has been added to your photos. In 1993, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 1994 in San Diego for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. He famously punched the principal, a man named Billy Sims. The incident received national press. The Portland Telegraph was the one that provided the nickname Crocodile Clementine and has some details about Crocodile Clementine's first major arrest. He was flying weekly between Los Angeles, Juarez, and Vancouver in a small plane. His flights were very low, literally under the radar. He was only caught because he was bit by a crocodile on the leg and had to call a mayday because he was losing blood. He tried to tell them that he was a crop duster who somehow cut his leg on a loose piece of metal in the cockpit, but his story seemed very odd, and controllers quickly alerted the police without informing him. When he landed, they were waiting, and he was promptly arrested. Awesome. Yeah, fuck you. Okay, so we don't have Mary Beth right. Oh, but we got Brian Jones. Yeah. So that is Stephanie. Mary Beth Quaker. Great. Okay, that one's set. Crocodile Cobain. Oh boy. All right, let's look up Stephanie Landon and then I might call it for tonight. Stephanie Jones. It seems Brian Jones has been busy updating Stephanie Jones's campaign website. 2 new sections exist. The first is baby photo. There you see a picture of their new family together in the hospital. According to the site, our daughter was named after her grandmother, which ended up being very fitting considering she was born the night before Christmas. The second is what's next. There's not much of substance there right now, but it lists some small accomplishments and finishes with the recent rise in popularity and controversy surrounding my extended family, there has been some extra attention on me. Stay tuned for announcements in the coming months about how I plan to use this publicity to accomplish bigger and better things. Oh, cool. Okay. That's cool. I really like that. Occupation, baby. Okay, her grandma. Caroline. Or Carol. Man, I'd really love to get that locked in, but... Sam Madsen's book was released earlier this year and details the truth about Elias Roottree as well as Sam's fathers, Edward Clancy Roottree and John Miller. You helped verify her story, so much of the book's core contents are familiar to you. That said, Sam had some sections of other family secrets and rumors. Much of it didn't matter to the primary purpose of the book, and some of it is new to you and may be important to your new search. Oh, can't take a picture of him. Okay. Sam's book has a few different passages about her own history with the company and the rumors and gossip she collected during that tenure. She ran the farm for a period starting around 1968, after the death of Elias Roottree, until her daughter Gwyneth took over in 1984. Most of the relevant rumors coincide with the reign of Guy Hudson, who took over as president in 1978. Sam was very much not a fan of Guy, and according to Six Pieces, it was an open secret within the family that Guy was very much not a fan of remaining faithful to his wife, Patricia. Whoops. Many of their hires at the time were young single women, and Guy often spent lavish amounts of money on private parties. This was 20 years ago, and Sam warns that most of it is hearsay. Still, you find the following information that may be relevant. One of Sam's farm supervisors was named Elizabeth. Elizabeth had a daughter, who Sam never met, but worked as one of Guy's secretaries. According to Elizabeth, a caterer from a local restaurant called Antonelli's met her daughter at one of Guy's parties, and they eloped quickly due to a pregnancy. Elizabeth wasn't aware that the party was for swingers. Rumor had it that her daughter showed up with Guy and didn't seem comfortable switching partners. Guy's main positive contribution to the company involved expanding to markets previously untapped by Roottree. However, when he went on trips overseas, they were often for weeks at a time, and Guy was known for spending more time and money on unofficial business than meetings with distributors and manufacturers. It was said that he bribed at least one politician to open a factory in Brazil. There's also a section where Sam speculates that Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth was also always much kinder to Sam than Elias was, and was the first to invite Sam to family events. While she had no hard evidence, Sam always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage instead of it being a natural course of events. She mentioned that Elias and Gwyneth were known to loudly argue, sometimes about another woman. Sam also says that her son Ernie once asked her, "Who's Beth?" because he overheard them yelling about someone with that name. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth, a different Elizabeth than the supervisor from the farm, but she never met her. I don't need this information, I already have it. Okay, this is definitely the biggest tangle in the middle of this, and I think we're gonna have to look at the secretaries, but I think I'm good for today. I was expecting to finish the game, and now we have a second game, second game that all games come with. I'm not sad about it. I'm very excited. I think this is a really fun game, and I'm not sad that it's not over. Just getting in our way of playing Blueprints, but we shall do that someday. Tomorrow is supposed to be beautiful outside, and I bought like a ridiculous amount of plants, so I will not be on tomorrow. We shall see about Monday when I have off with Grid, but at the very least I will see you Tuesday, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will catch you next time.